Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the CI Chit Chat. Good to have you all on here today. Hopefully, you are braving the the cold out there. All right. Winter is now it's officially feeling like winter after a lot of swings over the last month and a half. But cold out there here now, so that's okay. Good frost on the soil is hopefully helps some things out. But if you're new to the CI Chit Chat, CI is carbon intensity. Think of it as the carbon footprint per bushel. And that's important because our carbon footprint on the farm is part of the supply chain's carbon footprint. And it's particularly important in biofuels when our corn or soybeans or other feedstocks is going into biofuels. And that's important because there's the 45Z tax credit, which compensates biofuel producers for decarbonizing or lowering their CI score, lowering their carbon footprint. And 45Z is making some progress. So definitely some updates to share here today. No full answers yet, but a lot of progress being made. So it's exciting stuff. So, but to back things up, remember how we got here. August of 2022, Inflation Reduction Act created the 45Z tax credit, or that's what launched this whole thing. August of 2022, almost 3.5 years ago. Then the Biden administration put out some material right at a year ago, but it didn't get, it wasn't enough to really get anything to happen. It did give the biofuel plants enough to do carbon capture and to do some energy reduction tactics and stuff. They are claiming some 45Z tax credits, some biofuel producers. But those biofuel producers claiming 2025 credits, they're doing it with, like I said, carbon capture, energy efficiency efforts like combined heat and power, different things like that tweak the CI score a little bit, and they're able to earn some credit. But what's missing, what has not gotten done yet, is the rules about feedstock being included, or how low carbon, sustainably grown corn, soybeans, or other feedstock, how those feedstocks can be included and factored into 45Z. That is still not completed yet, but we're pushing hard and a lot of progress being made. So right before Christmas, the IRS submitted a rule over to the White House for final approval. The group over there, organization at the White House, is called OMB, the Office of Management and Budget. And within OMB, there's another group called the Office of Information and Regulatory Affairs, or OIRA. Those are the groups that review all of these different tax credits or systems. They're kind of the oversight group for 45Z here. So IRS, right, they wrote the rule because this is a tax credit under the jurisdiction of Treasury and the IRS, but OMB is overviewing everything and crossing the T's and dotting the I's. So as part of that process, they opened up a round of EO 12866 meetings. And these EO 12866 meetings are where the Office of Management Budget chooses some groups to meet with. The meetings are 30 minutes. It's just the folks from the executive branch and that the company or organization that they're meeting with. 30 minutes and deep dive into things. 30 minutes, basically one-on-one time, and they take notes and move on. So Continuum Ag was one of the first companies that was selected to have one of these meetings. We had ours last week, and in our opinion, it went well, but it sounded like it went just like how everybody else's are going. And how that is it's very one-sided. It's how it went down was it was a call, a teleconference call, so it was not there was no video cameras involved. There was a person from the OMB there was 2 people from the OIRA, Office of Information Regulatory Affairs, and there was a gal from Treasury as well. So it was 4 of those folks, and then Brad and myself from the Continuum side. And they got us on the call. One of the guys at OIRA, he kind of explained the process. He welcomed everyone to the meeting. He had all of the government folks introduce themselves and the organization that they are with, and then turned it over to us. And I basically gave them a 20, almost 25-minute pitch about here's our recommendations for 45Z. They sat there and took notes. They didn't say anything. They didn't ask any questions. But I kind of knew that was probably going to happen. I've had conversations with a couple of the other organizations who have also had these EO meetings, and I'm hearing the same consistent message. Similar crowd of people, and no feedback or no questions, just only listening. That may come across as like, well, hopefully they're not just, walking through the process and doing these meetings just to say that they did and not listen. It's my understanding that these are really important meetings where they are listening intently. And what OMB is designed to do is they're looking for, is the program that's going out there, is it going to cause any unforeseen negative consequences? Is it going to cause any budget burden or like financial burden, especially on the federal government or on different tax-paying groups? And then is this going to create any type of like barrier, burden, or lift to the government itself from like a paperwork perspective or like a pain in the butt perspective? So what we did was present to them like, hey, if you want to maximize this credit and create positive financial impact, you need to have feedstock included. Feedstock is about 60% of the carbon footprint of biofuels. So of the total, for example, right, in ethanol, it has an overall CI score of about a 50. Corn has a CI score of 29 of those 50 points. So the corn or the farmers were a big part of the equation. So presented to them, hey, if you leave out the feedstock, you're just ignoring the biggest piece of the problem, which also presents a massive component of the solution. And because we know that we can decarbonize, and a lot of us, on the call, and tons of folks here that have been following our stuff at Continuum, we are doing a lot better than what we're given credit for. And through the adoption of more conservation practices like cover crops and reduced tillage and better fertilizer practices, through those things, we can lower our CI score, thus lowering the footprint of the biofuel, thus generating the credits. So that was our point number one, is you got to have the feedstocks actually included. That follows the intent of Congress. It follows the intent of the IRS themselves. In the draft guidance that was put out a year ago, they explicitly said in there that they intend to include, which at that time was called climate smart ag practices, but they've laid out their intent to include, feedstock CI, and we pointed that out to them. And I know that there was multiple other groups meeting with the White House in these EO meetings, multiple other groups that are also advocating that the feedstock should be included. So we made that point very clear. Our other key point that we were pushing on them is you got to use book and claim. And especially for this group that's reviewing potential negative impacts, mass balance has a huge negative impact on livestock and non-biofuel sectors, but also just creates winners and losers from a geographic standpoint. And book and claim is ready to go and would be able to make the biggest positive impact, plus avoid the negative consequences of mass balance. So we laid that out to them, and we know that there was multiple other organizations meeting with OMB that are also pushing for book and claim. So anyway, use feedstock, use book and claim. That was our core talking points. We've got a blog that we've got out there. I think it's going out today maybe, that Diana helped put together, which kind of sums up in writing more of our talking points. And we did submit a one-page kind of takeaway document to the White House, after you have these meetings, I guess before or after, you can upload supporting documentation and stuff. So we submitted to them a one-page takeaway that sums all of this up and try to condense the points down to make them really clear. But anyway, White House meeting, they're having multiple other of these meetings. So that's the other key update and kind of takeaway for today. So we had our meeting last week. There was a handful of other groups that went last week as well. And then they are having meetings again this week. They didn't have any yesterday with MLK Day. They're resuming the meetings here today. And late last week, they announced that they are taking a couple meetings next week as well. So now they're in total up to like 22 of these meetings. American Soybean Association has one of the meetings. Renewable Fuels Association had a meeting. Growth Energy had a meeting. I saw Illinois Corn Growers got one. I don't know where Farm Bureau or U.S. corn growers are at. I don't see them on the list, but GEVO is on there. One of the SAF producers. Summit is on there. The guys behind Summit Pipeline. So a variety of stakeholders that are on there having these meetings. The overall deal, though, is it's a lot of what I would call friendlies to the program. A lot of groups that are working in the trenches to get 45Z to happen. A lot of folks that want it to happen, and not much for naysayers that are getting these meetings. I'm sure there are plenty of naysayers that are trying to poo-poo the program, and folks that would not like 45Z are just folks that don't like biofuels in general, don't like commercial agriculture, don't like any government spending, even though this is a tax credit. It'd be groups like that just wouldn't want anything in regards to biofuels or American, commercial American agriculture. Those are the type of groups that are against 45Z. But by and large, the meetings that are being had are with folks that like 45Z. They want to see it through. They're contributing to it. And by and large, the majority of them are at least going to be saying, hey, we want feedstock included. We want book and claim. We just really dug into those components, went full bore on them. So now what's going to happen is the OMB has to take in these other meetings and then work towards releasing this guidance and stuff. Exactly when is it going to happen? I don't know. But the document was submitted to the White House for review in mid-December. I think it was December 17th. I may be wrong, but mid-December, this was submitted to the White House. And typically these are 60 to 90 day review periods. I am hearing word from some folks in D.C. that would align with that time frame, that they think we would get this stuff through the review and released, which means that it should be done with review and getting released sometime in that second half of February or early part of March kind of time frame. So hopefully we know a lot more in another 45 to 60 days and get some positives to happen. Now, I still don't know what exactly is in this, what's in the rule that's under review. Before Christmas, the word on the street was this is just skinny guidance, just clears up a couple things for 2025 tax credits. It's just a quick, simple deal for 2025. Then they're going to make a more complete rule in, say, August, May, June, sometime around there for the complete rule. However, because they're having these EO 12866 meetings, because now the time frame has gotten extended, all this stuff, now the word on the street is, now we're hearing this is the actual full, more complete rule. It's anticipated that it'll come out as preliminary guidance, so it'll still need a 90-day public comment period. It'll still have some process to it. However, even a preliminary rule we can act on, and producers can move forward. So may still have a little bit of tweaks and some uncertainty, but also this gives us an opportunity that if there's some components of the rule that we don't like, there will be a 90-day public comment period that we can rally the troops and make our voices heard. But overall, again, things are happening. Word on the street is being able to know more, late February, early March. We've waited this long. Hopefully our wait doesn't have to be that terrible much longer. But February, March is great, especially when before Christmas we were like, well, it's probably going to be May. Hopefully we can get this clarity before we get the tractors rolling and planting this year's crop. So, but in the short term, a couple other things I want to hit on. So, and just to put a bow on that, if I hear anything else, obviously I'll let you guys know. We'll be back on the Chit Chat next week as well, and share anything if I do hear anything. But not anticipating that there will be that much in the next couple weeks, but maybe in the next month and a half. Yeah, hopefully some things will really start happening then, and we'll do an emergency press conference, get everyone pulled together, and share all the latest and greatest. What I know is likely going to happen, we're going to have to update, some of the audit protocol a little bit. There'll be a new CI calculator. We don't know exactly what that's going to be yet. If it's going to be the new USDA calculator or a updated USDA calculator, or if it's going to be the newly released updated Department of Energy feedstock calculator. Don't know yet. But a couple other things to hit on here today in the short term: the R&D tax credits. If you are farming, especially if you're farming at least 500 or 1,000 acres, you've got to talk to these folks that are doing the research and development tax credits. We'll connect you with them, have the conversation, at least have the initial conversation to figure out if this can work well for your operation. We're doing it on our operation. That's why I feel confident in being able to pass it along to the rest of you. And all you're doing is just getting tax credits for the research and development or innovative things that you're doing on your farm. It's federal tax code. It's nothing scary. And we've got a CPA firm that we connect you with that'll help you that will do the reports for you. Give it to your CPA and they're able to file your taxes. The average farmer is seeing back in their pocket about $11 per acre. So it's not complete game changing. However, for this tax filing only, because of the big beautiful bill, you can look back to 2022 and claim 4 years of these tax credits. So if you're talking $11 per acre each year, and that's just the average that we're seeing, we start talking some serious money. So it's at least worth having the conversation. There's no charge to do any of that, and a lot of farmers are having good success there. So definitely take a look at that. The other tax thing is if you bought or inherited land over the last couple of years, get a hold of us to get your fertility tax credits. So there's residual and excess fertility tax credits for any time that you are buying or inheriting land. It's an absolute no-brainer. Typically, folks are seeing $1,000 per acre in the deductions. It's not a tax credit; it's a tax deduction. So on average, figure $1,000 per acre split over a couple year window. So it increases your expenses in order to lower your tax liability and earn you credit for the fertility that's in the farm that you recently purchased or inherited. You're deducting that over time, just like you can deduct or depreciate the tile or fence, things like that. You can also deduct the fertility. So it's a sweet deal. We've got a company called Legacy Soil that we connect you with and get these credits put together. So just a couple things that we're using. When I bought my farm, I did the fertility deductions as well. So, I mean, all of these things, I'm just trying to bring value. 45Z, there's no money moving yet. Hopefully things get finalized and this thing happens the way that we've been fighting for. But there are these other opportunities that now, between now and filing your taxes, now's the time to hop on and get these things done. So anyway, it's kind of what I got today, unless there's some other questions, but we'll hopefully continue to hear more and keep pushing on DC to make moves here. So with that, we'll let y'all go, and we'll catch you next week back here on the CI Chit Chat. So thanks, everyone. Have a great week. Bye.